Joining us now, familiar face here, Oakland University political science professor Dave Giulio. And obviously this is, we've been talking, we did before in the break, not a lot of surprises when it comes to the races here locally. But maybe when it came to the vice president running mate there with Kamala Harris, many suspected the governor in Pennsylvania that perhaps Shapiro would be the one that maybe that would help bring in the moderate votes. But no, she went the other direction.
Yeah, I think the selection of Governor Walz from Minnesota is the biggest story of the day, given the lack of upsets here in Michigan. I think you know, the choice is an interesting one. We were talking earlier about Governor Shapiro, and I think that he may have been the best choice electorally, but what Walz brings is a kumbaya moment with the Democratic Party. You saw folks from Representative Ocasio-Cortez, a member of the so-called squad, as well as Joe Manchin praising this pick. So it's one that all Democrats seem to be getting behind, which would not have been the case with Governor Shapiro.
And I think Governor Shapiro also, his stance with Israel and Palestine influences her decision here. But what's interesting to me is the fact that you have Kamala Harris, who's been criticized heavily for her handling of the border, whether or not she was a czar or not. And then you have this gentleman who actually has called for open borders and sanctuary cities. How then? You make it kind of easy for the Republicans, aren't you?
It's teed up very nicely for them to try to drive up the negatives of both Kamala Harris and Tim Walz now. So he has a long track record in politics, which, as you both know, right, can haunt you. And we're already seeing some things that he said in the past come out. And those are going to be featured in 30-second TV ads here in Michigan from now until Election Day.
Yeah, we heard what former President Trump said, that he did think that he would be the worst vice presidential pick, which was pretty expected, his response, something like that. Sure. But looking ahead to November, though, what do you think some of the key races, because as always, Michigan is a battleground state. I mean, what do you think is going to be really key?
So Michigan is fascinating this year because we have, I think, the most interesting mix of races that really unique in the country. We have this clearly very competitive presidential race, very competitive U.S. Senate race, and we have the potential with these results tonight from the primaries to have 4 U.S. House seats that are just knockdown dragouts between the 3rd, the 7th, the 8th, and the 10th. No other state has that mix of competitive races that we have here in Michigan.
Is it a mistake for Donald Trump and Kamala Harris to not sit down with interviews and do media like they're both kind of avoiding it? I feel like they're both on their rallies. It's been 16 days since Kamala Harris has accepted this, and she has done not one television interview. Donald Trump only does them with friendly fire. Is this a mistake for them?
It's not a mistake, but it's bad for the voters, right? I hope you get your interview with her tomorrow and her running mate, but we'll see. But
Secret Service clearance would have had to have been cleared by now.
Well,
I think that's
too bad.
Yeah,
but it's bad for the voters, right? It is. People need to hear from these folks in ways that are not produced or filtered, and whether it's rallies or television commercials, it's the candidates controlling every piece of the message. And we've seen in the last month how when a candidate goes off script, that it can be really defining for that candidacy.
And certainly we've seen how much has changed within 1 month. So there is still a long way to November.
Right?
Exactly. So anything can happen, and certainly we love your insight on this as we go forward as well. So thank you so much,
Thanks
Dave,
for
being
me.
with us.
It's an eye on the pulse, Dave. Thank you.
Well, still ahead, Boeing